I have a tennis class.
All right, I'm glad you asked. All right, can I have everybody's attention? Please close your Chromebook. Please close your Chromebook. Hi, Fabian.
Fabian.
Dr. Schultz. So we're starting our PenPals unit today. All right? Please raise your hand if you have a question or comment. Unfortunately, we can't just have a long conversation, tagging back and forth, because we have quite a bit to do today so that I can prepare you for an assignment that I want you to do before Wednesday. Because Wednesday, we're going to actually start writing our PenPal letters. So let me explain what we did. I'll answer questions like in transitions. Frau Sovka, you don't know her. She taught at Northeast Middle School. She taught German before I got here in 2018. If you didn't know, you're my first class in 6th grade. When you were in 6th grade is when I started teaching here at Northeast Middle School. As you know, I came from Delaware. I taught German there and math for 5 years. Started here in 2018. So you're actually a special class for me because you're the first class, and the other 7th grade classes or 8th grade classes that I've had since I started working here all 3 years. So she worked here before me. She works at Nichman now, and she had her students write pen pal letters to us, which we're going to answer all in German. It's vocabulary that we've used before. It's stuff like my name is, how are you, where are you from, and then we're going to add hobbies on top of that, which is why in Cycle 8 we had an assignment called Hobbys und Aktivitäten, which I would like you to do. I transferred it over from Cycle 8 to the first assignment in Cycle 9. Number 2 assignment in Cycle 9 is the PenPals Activity Part 1. That's what we're going to be working on today. So, we're going to do a number of things in preparation for getting ready for these PenPal letters. We're going to look at 2 or 3 actually in this class, different PenPal letters that were sent. We're going to break them down sentence by sentence, and then we're going to break the sentences down into grammatical structures. What do I mean by grammatical structures? Subject, verb, object. Simple. Subject, verb, object. So to prepare for that, we're going to talk about, up here on the board, we're going to talk about subjects, verbs, what are they, and objects, and look at different sentences and figure out what exactly they are and what their jobs are in those sentences. They're called parts of speech. And then we're also going to look at first person, second person, third person. And so we've talked about this in class. I'm hoping you've also talked about it in ELA reading classes. First, second, third person. Then we're going to look at our PenPal letters, or, 3 or 4 of them.
Where are they from?
They're from Nichman. So from Frau Sovka, she had her students write us PenPal letters. Now, because of COVID, I'm not passing out individual letters. What I did was I scanned all of them. And so on the second part, that's not in the activity board yet, but number 3, you'll see that probably in the next couple of days, at least by Monday. I'll assign you with an individual letter that's been scanned, so electronically. But just so you can have a look at what they look like, I'm going to try to find fancy paper on Amazon for us too, and stickers. But you'll see like some people, they gave themselves a different persona. I don't mind if you do that, as long as we're using the German vocabulary, the German grammar that I'm assigning to you, right? We're not using Google Translate. We're using easy sentences that we've already learned, plus hobbies. And we've learned some hobbies, so this is all stuff you're familiar with, right? Like, ich heiße Herr Wynn, wie heißt du? Ich komme aus Delaware, woher kommst du? All right, and then we're going to add hobbies. Ich spiele gern Disc Golf, was spielst du gern? Ich spiele gern Schach, was spielst du gern? All right, so maybe Videospiele, Computerspiele, Trompete, instrument, things of that nature. So if you want, I'm not going to go through all these, but these are what they look like, just so that you can have an idea of what a great job they did. I'm going to send them back to Frau Sovka so she can grade them and give them back to her students. But, like I washed my hands, I didn't want 26 sets of hands on these papers and then giving them back to her for obvious reasons. In the following years, we'll do this. We'll hand out the papers and let students use them, but we can't today. Alright, so this person was a penguin. That was their persona. Alright, so what I would like you to do to get started.
Do we get to pick our pen pal?
No, but you don't even know who these people are. Yeah, it's gonna be too hard because I can't let you look at these papers, and then I have like 3 different classes that I'm gonna be doing this with this cycle. So it's just like I can't do that this time.
So what are we gonna be doing? So you're gonna be writing them back when you're done?
You're gonna write them back, and then they're gonna write us back, and then we're gonna hopefully write them back a second time. So, I mean, I could try to put these 26 pen pal letters on some kind of forum, and then let you look at them, and then make a suggestion of which one you want. That's some work, so let me think about that. But I could try to do that and let you pick out the one you use. That might be nice for you to be able to pick out the one you do. So please go to Schoology. Remember that you should be accessing all your German work from the Bitmoji classroom, not from the folders underneath. So the way the class is set up, I'm sure I remind you of this every new cycle, is you have your current cycle here in the middle. You have past due cycles on the right. So anything you owe me, you can access from here on the right under past due cycles. You don't see anything before cycle 7 because that was from marking period 2. So click on cycle 9. And then when you get to the activity board, it's going to be number 2. PenPals Aktivität Teil 1, Part 1. Teil 1, Part 1.
I did some assignments. I think I did an assignment in your class, but then I got the grade. And I did like a good week ago.
Send me, please, if you have assignments you need graded, please send me messages.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to keep up on grading a lot better, and I have been like the past few weeks. But if you see something that's still missing after a couple days, or if you finish it and you want to just send me a message right away, that's fine. I'll get to it as soon as I can. So click on Teil 1, and then you'll see your name in a group. Don't worry about what group you in. We're going to start this group document, get as far as we can together. The individual document is what you're going to submit at the end of this. So don't worry if you're not in a group that you definitely want to be in, because we're going to do this together in class. And what I'm really interested in before Wednesday is the individual document. So I want you to open that after we're done doing the group document together sometime between now and Tuesday, say, because Wednesday I want it finished before that when we come to class together, so that we'll be prepared. We can do a quick review, and then we'll be prepared to write our pen pal letters Wednesday and Friday, and then I'd love to have them finished up by the end of the class period on Friday. So I'm going to open up all of the documents that we're using for the students in our class, so that we can, when I do examples, I'm going to go through all of them, take turns on each document. And I'll show you how it's set up. And then we're going to talk about subject, verb, direct object, and first, second, third person. And I'll give you an example in English when we're talking about subject, verb, object, and then we'll transition into German. All right, so the ones we're working with look like this. So you can see, like, I can tell Levi Carolyn did some work on this one. This was published a couple days ago. All right. Okay. So we have our pen pal letter here. We're going to go through it. We're going to read together. By the way, I'm going to use Class Dojo auf meinem Handy. All right, so ich benutze Class Dojo auf meinem Handy, euch Klasseneuro zu geben. All right, so I'm going to give you class euros for answering questions. My handy auf Deutsch is cell phone. Yes, Justin and then Anthony. Sorry, I saw his hand.
Is Obama his name?
Yes, so like I said, you can take your own persona. So if you want to be Obama, if you want to be Batman, if you want to be a character that's completely made up.
So that's not his actual name?
No, that's not the guy's name. No, good question. Yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of a mini T question. Okay, so in German, is it euros or do you guys actually use cash?
Euros, and euros is cash. Like cash is a universal word for paper currency, right? So dollars is what we use in the US, euros is what we use in all of Europe except for Switzerland, and I shouldn't say all of Europe because there's a number of countries that don't use euros either because they don't want to or because they haven't gotten to the point where they can use euros instead of their own currency. So Great Britain, England does not want to use euros. They have one of the oldest currencies that's still used today. And it's great, the pound, and so they want to keep that in circulation, and that's awesome. Switzerland, they are not part of the European Union, so they use Swiss francs. Other countries in Eastern Europe who have since joined the European Union have not achieved a strong enough economy and got their currency up to a point where it's strong enough to be able to transition that currency to the euro. So for various reasons, some countries use euros or do not use euros that are in Europe.
And so if you're saying like, okay, I have $10,000, but what is the difference between euros and dollars? If I have 10,000 euros, how much is that?
So I can do a currency calculator, but remind me because I don't want to get too far off topic because I want to. The more we get done on this group doc, the less you're going to have to do on that over the weekend before the individual document.
Okay.
So I would love to talk about European currency. It's fun to do those. Look at the currency calculators and find the translations. It fluctuates all the time. Sometimes the dollar's worth more than the euro. Other times the euro is worth more than the dollar. All right, so please open that document. And what we're going to do, we're going to read this together. We're going to look at the meaning of these sentences, which you should recognize most of it. And then number one, we're going to highlight, just like we did in the flashcards activity, we're going to highlight subject, verb, direct object. Oh, they're going to lunch. Subject, verb, direct object with different colors. Then we're going to highlight the verb endings because I hope you remember that when we're speaking in first, second, or third person, depending on the pronoun we're using, ich, du, er, sie, es, the verb ending is going to change to an E, an ST, a T, or an EN. So we're going to highlight verb endings. And then we're going to write first, second, or third person over the subject, depending on what person we're talking in. Take questions in just a minute. After that, we're going to fill in the graphic organizer with subjects depending on what person they are, and that'll be super easy because up here we're going to have all the subjects highlighted a certain color, and we're going to have the first, second, or third over top of the subject. So it's going to be easy just to transcribe that down here and organize it in this graphic organizer. And then we're going to insert the corresponding verbs next to the pronouns that we put under the subject. And then down here we have what's called a close activity. All right, so when we're learning language, these are close activities. There's a number of different kinds. So you have a word bank over here, and then you're reading the sentences and you're trying to understand the meaning so that you can figure out which words fit appropriately into each blank. So that's what we're going to do. But first, we're going to talk about first, second, third person, and we're going to talk about subject, verb, and direct object. Jordan, question. Can you charge it? Yeah. Can you sit over there, please?
My name
Use that charger. Justin.
This is different than mine.
Yes. Yes, they are. So each group has a different one. And then when we actually write the PenPal letters, you're going to get an even different one. Okay? And when you do the individual doc, you're going to see all four of these letters, and I'm going to ask you to choose two to do the same activities with, but two that you didn't work on with your group document. So all four are going to be there. So you'll see what I mean. And yes, you can choose a random name, sure.
Okay. So let me pick the Condor.
You can pick what?
This person named Condor.
Absolutely. Alright, so up mijn hand, die mag ik klappen euro. So raise your hand. I want to know what the subject of the sentence is in your own words. What is the subject of the sentence? What is its job? What's an example of the subject of the sentence? What is the subject of this sentence? So we're going to talk about subject,